I feel like what's been on my heart right now, I just came across a TikTok video of a young boy. He's given his life to Christ, and he used to identify as queer, as gay, and no longer identifies as gay. And it really resonated with me, and it really hit me in my chest, I guess, to a certain degree, because of like the journey that I'm on and just the price, not the price, but like just the thought of it, the thought of the surrender, the thought of the letting go, and just the thought of how everything will turn out to be. Especially when it comes to like identity and masculinity and presentation, presenting as a man, especially a very feminine or whatever man, you know what I mean, when it comes to the faith and in the world that we live in. um, Looking at the young boy's video and like how he was like proper super femme and just like the hair, the wigs and everything, and then becoming very mask at times. Like when I look at certain like testimonies of that world in the past, I used to just think to myself like, is this a facade? Is this an act? Because obviously like being queer and like being gay back in the day, which was a total bad mindset to have. You have them people who would put on this facade of masculinity, but were like super femme. But then we'll just always turn around and be like, girl, you just gay, like for real. But would be like, no, no, I ain't. But they were, you know what I mean? And was just using the whole mask as a mask. And now, like, growing in the journey and like learning a bit more and just learning more from like being a little kid to now, um, in regards to queerness, homosexuality, there are masculine presenting people that are queer, etc., and just, you know, the list goes on. Give me 1 second. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. So yeah, I just like it had me thinking about just like my own identity and the idea of masculinity when coming into the Christian faith and like letting go of your quote unquote desires and the desires that you want to let go of. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, the view account jumped up. That's crazy. Like, but letting go of the desires that we all may have when coming into the faith. Like, I spoke about this as well with my therapist when I had therapy, and she spoke about how, just like, told her how, like, at times I feel like people try to strip away from my masculinity just because I do not fit their idea of what a man's supposed to be. But then she was like to me, no one can take away your masculinity, you know what I mean? No one can take that from you. That's innately within you. That's who you are. And I was like, clock it, T. My phone's on 2%. I should charge my phone before it dies. I'm just gonna have this conversation really before I go. So that was one thing, but then I also expressed to her how, oh, I'm just getting like Hinge notifications now. How I was like, am I scared of that idea of masculinity and just like being masculine in regards to like presentation? Am I just fearful of that? Because I'm fearful of how I will be perceived and how I want to control the narrative of being perceived. Because back in the day, obviously, oh gosh, like someone keeps messaging me. That's why I keep like swiping out. Because back in the day, obviously, when it came to guys and everything, they would look at me and would only want a femme boy, and I was known as that femme. Obviously, I'm femme, but obviously very much masculine. But like, they just wanted that femme fatale fantasy, and I kind of like to a certain degree would serve that fantasy, but kind of didn't at the same time. I, girl, 1 minute is giving femme fatale, yeah. Next minute is just giving crazy me, you know, crazy old me, and yeah. So like, I guess like a part of me was kind of questioning like, am I fearful to step in that? Um, and that's why I'm so comfortable with my in like my femininity, but then I question myself and I look at myself, I'm like, no, because I own both very well. You know what I mean? There was a point in time where I didn't feel as though it was given like one or the other, but then I own both because, you know what I mean? Both, we all have both, I guess. Um, I guess like it's just a definition of what masculinity and femininity is. Wait, let me charge my phone. And I don't even know if I'm making any sense. Let me take this out. But yeah, it just had me. Hi guys. Okay, my phone's charging. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm just gonna have to flip my camera. Hey. Okay, let me put my phone here because it's charging. Oh, what am I doing? Okay, perfect. Okay, whilst it charges, hopefully it doesn't drop. Okay, it's starting to drop. Let me do this. Wait. Ah! I'm gonna put my candle in front of it. My candle is literally in front of my phone, trying to hold my phone. Thank you so much, my loves. So yeah, let me pause the music. Yeah, let me pause the music. So I just feel like I've just been in this place where I also look at the identity of an individual. I know that God can change you and change your desires and everything in regards to your look and stuff. But sometimes I don't know if like in regards to like these journeys and like the queer into Christ journey, some people just put on the hyper masculinity, the hyper masculine aesthetic, just to just to show the change. If I'm making sense, like in regards to their clothing and stuff, obviously your clothing will change. You're not gonna like if you were someone that wore dresses, you're not gonna wear dresses anymore. But like, I don't know if I'm making any sense, you guys. But like, yeah, like, yeah, if the whole aesthetic, if it's just what they deem as a man supposed to be now that they're in Christ, and conforming to this idea of straightness and masculinity and or it's just them and the change that God's done in their lives. You know what I mean? It's just a whole conversation. And I was literally telling my friend, like, this is why at times, baby girl, like, I'm not gonna lie, girl, like, I don't know if it's pride in me saying this, but like, I feel at times like, girl, like, I don't want to swear, but you know, F this shit, like, this life shit is just so flipping long. But then it's kind of like, you can't say that because you're so in love with your desires and stuff, that because they're so, it's like, it feels like I'm battling God. You know what I mean? Like I've got these desires that I feel like are right and things that I feel really comfortable in myself with right now. But then if I was to take it to him, someone said, yo. Anywho, but like if I was to take it to him, it's like I'm battling him, you know what I mean? He says one thing, but I feel comfortable in this, you know. But yeah, you know, and I feel like how I am to a certain degree, not to a full degree, I view as contentful, you know what I mean? I'm content with to a certain degree. But then he says, no, no, no. But then it feels so good, yet so right. But then it's not in his eyes. And I guess I need to figure out the it what is it that isn't good in his eyes. But then at the same time people will say, oh my goodness, that's how the demons get ya. That's how the enemy puts in your mind certain things to make you think that, oh, this way of life is so good and it's tea. But then in the reality of it, it actually isn't. So yeah, that's just food for thought. That's my little, I just feel like it's all over the place. I hope I articulated myself well. Are you feeling a little internal homophobia? No, it's not homophobia. No, girl, it's not homophobia because homophobia is something completely different. I know what homophobia is in regards to like how queer people are treated and everything. I do believe that God's word does say what it says, girl. It says it loud and clear in His word. Um, it's just like the idea of letting go and letting God and what it means to change. And I guess you need to look to Him in order to change. And that's what I feel like. If I focus more on Him, the change will just come naturally instead of focusing on the change and how I'm gonna change and how I'm gonna look. Because I can get so heavily fixated on how I'm gonna look. Because I'm so sorry. At times I'm just telling Him, I don't wanna look straight. I don't wanna be boring looking like a straight man because there's this idea that when you come into Christ, especially when I used to go to church, oh yeah, you can't wear that no more. You can't be like this. You can't do that. You can't do that. So do you want me to be a bland basic B? Like, hello? Do you want me to be a bland basic bitch? Like, sorry for my language. Like, I ain't trying to swear to God, but like, it's kind of like, who am I? Like, honestly, coming into the whole faith and just again and just like really trying to understand that what it means to surrender to certain desires to God and Christ. It's just so. At the start, it felt like it felt blissful. Then there was a bit where it felt like an identity crisis. I was really having an identity crisis. Then it just, I don't know, a lot goes on internally, you know, and like going to therapy, understanding how I was viewing people as my God instead of God as my God. I'm not Christian, so I don't really know what's happening. Okay, my lovelies, it's just like me having my conversation in regards to Christianity coming back into the faith, and sexuality and identity and giving up your identity to God, because obviously in the Christian faith, when you come to the a realization of the truth or a revelation of the truth, it's kind of like you can't be gay no more. But like it's not in a sense where he thinks that you're gonna burn in hell and you're wrong. Like God genuinely loves you, but then He wants you to change for the best for Him and for His glory. But then when you have desires which you feel are real, and not to say they're not real, but you feel as though this, why can't I have this? It's that, I guess, like that internal, that like battle, or not even battle, but like that internal dialogue between yourself and God, and like letting that go, and what it means to let go, and what it means to change and stuff, you know? So yeah, I feel like there's a whole bunch to break down in regards to this, especially for me. I feel like as well when it comes to like how I dress, because for the very longest of times and I spoke about this in therapy, conditioned to dress in a certain way, and like was basically what's the word, told to look like this, told to do this, be like that. That's where it's kind of like, oh, like that's when when it's coming to God, and it's like, oh, there's gonna be a form of change. I'm kind of like, girl, I was forced to be this, be that, do this, do that. You know what I mean? And I want to find myself. How do I find myself? And I guess I need to find myself in you. But then you're telling me to do this, A, B. Well, people are saying that God does this, this, and that. And I guess I shouldn't focus more so on that, but just focus on Him and let Him do the change organically and naturally from inwardly out. But then it's hard when you've just been through so much, I guess, stuff and trauma in regards to people trying to control how you look and how you should look as a Christian man. And just like even out of faith, how you're supposed to look, period, you know? But yeah, guys, that was just sitting on my little chest after watching his video. His video was really inspiring, and I wish him all the best, and I pray that he continues to focus on Christ and his journey. You know, it's cute seeing stuff like that. As for me, girl, sometimes I just feel like I want to fucking die. obviously, God forbid, we's not gonna die. We don't want it. We don't feel like it, girl. But sometimes it be given like, girl, like, you know what I mean? When it just be given like, I'm done with the whole, like, I have to surrender this. Like, why do I have to go through this in the first place, you know? That's what I say, like, is it pride in me saying that, you know, to him? But it's kind of like, you know, when you're done with the you're done with the fight. You don't want to continue fighting and the struggle and stuff. But then this is the world that we have to live in. And I was even speaking to this about my friend. I was speaking about this to my friend, where I was like to her, I've got these desires and everything, which I really feel like are real and I want to experience and everything. But then on the other hand, I know that they're not good for me, because according to his word, if I want to be with him and if I want to be with Christ and if I really want to live a Christian life in regards to obedience, because we can say that we believe in God, but then do you truly believe in God if you don't obey him? You know what I mean? It's probably dumb, but you are having a straight crisis, because that might sound rude, but I don't know. You're not dumb. Don't call yourself dumb, baby girl. I love the interaction anyway. It's not a straight crisis, baby girl. I wouldn't say it's a straight crisis, because to come to God, what I've realized is, especially in the Christian faith, it's not him turning you straight. That's not, and I feel like that's where a lot of people get confused. So when you come to God and you can't be gay, does that mean that when you come to God you're gonna be straight? No, it's more so him looking at your heart and your heart posture and really like taking out the things that throughout your life that you've learned along the way. It's kind of like a deprogramming in a sense. And this is why I really want to go and I need to do my AI. I've got like a whole docu-series that I've got on AI and just like the soul and the mind and the body and everything. It's really, really sick. I just need to sit down and do the research and actually come out with the documentary. But in a sense, like I kind of like to think of us as computers, right? Computers, and like due to the fall of man, if you're a Christian and you know about the fall, let's say due to the fall of man and the computer, whoopty whoopty woo, your hardware, there was like a malfunction or there was a virus implanted, and like different like viruses were and different like programs were installed on this computer, right? So in a sense, when you come to Christ, when you come to God, it's not about changing you into the late, I guess, like not changing, obviously changing you, but like not changing you into like this software, but like kind of like deprogramming you, like taking out the viruses, taking out, deleting certain applications that you would have been programmed with throughout your years, throughout your life, that you thought was right but wasn't right, and him changing you that way, if that makes sense. So I don't know if it's like a straight crisis or not, because girl, I am not attracted like that to the women's. No man. Women are pretty. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, for real, I can look at a woman and be like, she is so gorgeous. But like attraction, like sexual attraction, mutual attraction. Like, no, it's just giving. Not as for now, no. But you know, a stud really does. You know, them studs be giving a little. But then that's the thing. It's kind of like when I be looking at the studs, and everything. I'm like, girl, like, am I just attracted to the whole idea of masculinity and them just being very, like, is it overt or covert? Overtly masculine. Is it overt or covert? One of the two. But just like, you know, just very masculine. Am I attracted to that? But them studs be studding, girl. Some of these studs, I'm just like, you is fine. I would date you for real. But then it's kind of given, oh, so who doing the bending? You know? But yeah, that's where I'm at. And like, I was telling my friend, back to the conversation I was telling my friend, I was telling her, like, I have these desires that I really like, that don't go in line with what God says in his word. But then it's kind of like, I know I really, really want this, but then at the same time, I know that what he says and who he is good for me. You know what I mean? Because he's my creator. But then at the same time, like, if I choose to like distance myself away from him, I know that I cannot even escape him. Oh gosh, sorry, my phone just went. I don't know if that cut off. But I'm gonna read the comment. I'm gonna read your comment. Not if I donate £2.50, will you shout me out? What is your social media? There's only 4 people. You can shout yourself out in the comments. Honestly, just drop your Instagram and stuff. But make sure it's nothing illegal. You know. But yeah. So it's kind of like I was like, as much as it feels as though like I don't want him, at times because of these desires and how badly I want these desires. I know that he is good for me, but at the same time, I do want him. But if I go on continuously living this way, and and I truly want to give into my desires, even though in the back of my mind I know that this isn't good, and he's the good thing for me, even though I want something so bad, and I want it to feel real, and it feels quote unquote real. um, I can't escape him in the afterlife because when I die, I'm gonna meet him. I'm gonna meet a maker. We're all gonna meet our maker. You know what I mean? The maker. And you can't escape him in death because it's kind of like if I went with my living life running away from him in death, I can't escape him. I don't want to experience a form of eternal separation because I chose not to live, to fully surrender and give myself to him and just live for him, if I'm making any sense. That's why at times I be thinking like, bitch, why didn't I just fuck? Sorry for my language, but why didn't I die when I was like a baby or something, girl? Because this is too much. We can't die now. Like, I don't want to die now. Of course not. But it's kind of like we can't die now because, girl, the way life is, girl. Shit, like you can't escape him. You cannot escape the maker. So it's kind of like, fuck. You know what I mean? Right, girl. I'm here, so I'm just gonna have to make it work. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, oh gosh, like I need to like, I feel like my light in the back is just so, it's just doing something. But yeah, I've been speaking about this topic a lot on. Yeah, let me put you highlights saved to your channel as unlisted video. What did I do? At least 1 minute of videos needed to start highlight. Okay, I don't know what I just did there. Oh, okay. Well, I'm probably going to hell. It's not even the fact that you're going to hell or not, baby girl. Like, don't think of it like that. I say there is that there is that girl there, but like think of it as more so like a relationship with Christ, with God. You know what I mean? Because that's what eternal. That's what it is. That's what it's all about. It's obviously, you know, there's hell and heaven, but that's not what the main thing is about. It's about having a relationship with him, getting to know him, getting to love him, and experience him whilst living on earth, so that when we do die, we can have an eternal relationship with him in heaven and not the eternal separation from him in hell because we chose to live otherwise. And it's kind of like, at this rate, it's going to purify my desires because, yeah, I desire one thing, but you want one thing. And I'm trying to, I don't I don't know if I'm fearful of how I'm gonna look out through the transformation. Because I see it at times, and I guess like you shouldn't give a shit about people, but I see how the collective act when it comes to a gay person and Christ and like Christianity when it comes to queer people. And that's why I feel like at sometimes like I do have a soft spot for my queers or gays, you know what I mean? Because I know how it is. And like it may be rough for me to say this, but then I be thinking like sometimes, girl, I be, girl, my music just started playing out of the blue. But like that's why I be thinking like, girl, like with this like whole being gay, this that I know nothing's impossible and nothing's too like above for God. But girl, this is like one of the tough as things. The straights, girl, y'all, all they can deal with, y'all can deal with a bit of less than whatever y'all got going on in your life. But when it comes to a desire where you feel like, oh my goodness, I want to be with this person and I just want to fall in love, but I can't because we are of the same sex, it's kind of like, well, damn. I can fall in love with someone, but then of the same sex, like, it's like in brotherly love, like in regards to like friendship and platonically. But like, I guess like sexually, with the sexual aspect of it, like the depth of the sexual aspect of it, of wanting to like be intimate in that regard, it's kind of like you can't do that because that's the thing. You can't get your butt cracked, and it's like you can't even suck a little pain to please your partner. You know, it's like because it's seen as a sin. But yeah, can I have can I have a moderator? No, darling, I don't know you. I don't know if I can make you a moderator, babe. I'll think about it. But yeah, that's the story of Balamori, guys. But his video did kind of touch me in a sense, and this is why I'm not Christian. And this is why you're not Christian. But that's the thing, because it feels conflicting, you know what I mean? But then it's kind of like, I do believe that Christ is the way and the truth and the life, you know what I mean? But then it's like, I guess like right now, I know a Christian would be like, actually focus less on my desires and focus more on him, because that's what they all say, that's what you have to do. And slowly and gradually your desires will change, you know? And when you focus less on those feelings and the desires and you focus more on him and his word, those desires will change. And I guess I need to do that more, because I feel like right now I may be focused more so on my desires and my wants and my needs to be in a loving relationship with a man than, yeah, than ever. Hi, you. I'm not an atheist, babe. I used to go to a Christian school. What is Strathview's school? You used to go to a Christian school, mood. But like, did you have a personal relationship with God? Because I guess like that's what like a lot of people talk about right now. Hey, Tal. A lot of people do speak about like just having a personal relationship, because you can go to church, and that's what I've realized. Like, you can go to church, you can do the masses and everything, but then if you don't have a personal relationship with God, then what is this all about? You know what I mean? It's just giving show and tell. Yeah, I have Bible, bro. I have 7. I love that. I like that. But here's the thing: can you make a straight person gay? So you can't make a gay person straight. I feel like everyone struggles with lusts and desires. A lot of people will perceive and would say, a lot of Christians, I do hear a lot of Christians say that the quote unquote oh gosh, what's going on upstairs? I've got work as well tomorrow. Oh gosh, it's 10:49. A lot of Christians do say, oh, it's a form of perversion and it's lust, and that's what it is. But then when you know, I can agree to disagree on that, but then when it don't feel like that, girl, it feels like you wanted to have a genuine connection with someone, what then? You know? But perversion or not, I don't know what the fuck this is. And I'm over it. I am. I flipping am. This is why I was telling my friend, like, girl, like, why wasn't I? Girl, it's either we don't wish it now, but girl, like, it's kind of like, oh, why didn't it give up when we were a baby, or why wasn't I born a woman? But I know like women have their struggles and stuff, but like this in regards to like wanting like a relationship with a guy, this would not be on the list. Like, this would not be a thing. You know? We are all sinners who can choose to sin or do good, in my opinion. Well, whatever, Rose, true tea, you know what I mean? It's true. Girl, I'm just over it. Thank you so much, Nat. But no hate. No hate, Pimpy, to you. No, of course there's no hate, my lovelies. Of course there's no hate. Like, we're just genuinely having an open conversation. It's just, girl, it's rough. Life at times. When it comes to the whole sexuality, desires, identity, and Christ, it can feel so flipping rough. So flipping rough, guys. Yeah, but yeah. What makes you happy? What makes me happy, girl, when something gets completed, God, Christ, when, I don't know, when shit's going my way, you know, I don't know. Just like positivity, being around people that I care about and genuinely love, joy, peace, happiness, just a whole bunch of things, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's the story of Balamori. Thank you so much for coming to my TED Talk. I mean, you could be bi. But babe, I'm not even bi because I've never been with a woman. That's why I'm just like, girl, clock it. Is that not what can make it beautiful though? Being able to discover something new each day or search for each day rather than knowing. What do you mean, babe? What do you mean, darling? Yeah, being able to discover something new each day is like a blessing in disguise. Like it is. It's beautiful. But then when I guess like the whole, in this case, sexuality, desire, and identity is just something. Ugh. I guess, as you say, take it day by day. You know what I mean? In regards to the faith, in regards to the journey, we take it day by day. But then it's kind of like at times I feel like, how long can I say that I'm gonna just take it day by day if you know that God's around the corner, you know, and we ain't got long left. I don't know. But then at the same time, that whole mentality of it, I don't want to have a mentality like that because I don't want to rush my relationship with him and make it seem as though I need to do this and need to do this before he gets here. Even though we should be on it, you know, I want it to be genuine and authentic. So yeah. I think I'm gonna love you guys and leave you. I'm going to go see if my food's ready because I was cooking. And I'm gonna probably come back later and have a discussion about life and just life right now. So if you would, if God cares about you, then why would they care? What do you mean, my loves? Unless you guys want to stay here whilst I go check on the food, or I'm just probably just gonna like come back on live in like 20 or so minutes later, and then we can have a discussion, maybe. What was that little croak in my voice? I feel like God does care about all of us. He does. He really does. Oh, girl. It's just sometimes I just don't know what's going on with me, girl. Just, you know when you just can't argue because you know he's an all good God, and he's just like, girl, maybe I'm the problem. I don't know. But yeah. Why would God care if you are gay, if he cares about you? He would care because his word, and he says otherwise, you know? He does care about us. He cares about everyone. But then he doesn't want us living in a way which is counter, like goes against his rules and regulations. He's like a dad. He's like your dad, like a parent. They have rules, they have boundaries and stuff. They love you dearly, but then when you cross them or you're doing something wrong, they will tell you, "Hey, don't do that." You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. But guys, I probably might come back. But why would he let you get corrupted? Apparently, it's not really him, but it's just how the fall of the world and mankind. I don't know, girl. There's like so many questions to this. Not Losso saying go back to Africa. I will, babe. Soon. Going on holiday soon. Very soon. But yeah. And where in Africa do you want me to go back to? Just name a country, not the continent. It's like me saying to someone, go back to Europe. But anywho, mwah, bye babies. I'll be back, maybe.